Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Under Construction. This is episode number 53, maybe 54. I don't have the other episode open because I don't think I got any comments on it. You know what? I'm going to double check because I don't want to be that guy that avoided somebody's comment inadvertently. Last episode was what? 53. It was 53. So this one's 54. Ha! I can add. Okay, yeah, no, we don't have any comments on it. So, that means post your comments on this one. I hope nobody posts comments on the other video between then and now. Okay, so we're back. We learned last episode that the lag is largely caused by the 5-meter grid. Don't show this warning again. So that means I'm going to turn these into 10-meter grids for now, and then probably turn them back later when I'm about to build track through them. Yeah, so and I'm probably going to start a policy of doing things in the 10-meter grid unless there's a very good reason to not. For the most part, unless I'm doing an urban area, you know, an area with a lot of detail in its terrain, or really just an area with track, which I can convert, I'll probably be doing everything in 10-meter grid from here on out. At least for starters. I might stop it. I might change it to 5-meter grid when I go to do textures. But as we've seen, textures are just as much of a performance hit. So yeah. So that means that adding track is really going to be something I do as an event instead of something I do just sort of one piece at a time. But that's okay, we'll live with that. Anyway, now that we have a 10-meter grid and things should work much, much better, I'm going to start playing with this and start getting back to this terrain. Now, the first thing that stuck out at me when I got on the map today is, so this is 61, this is like 100 something. We already have terrain up to the height that we're going to need, so I don't need to really work so hard on getting the terrain, you know, much higher. But, you know, I have some vague ideas about what I want to do with the terrain, and most of them involve some pretty hefty hills. So we're gonna play with it. We're gonna make it look good. We're gonna sort of deal with the hand that we've been dealt. Now, again, I don't know what's my limiting factor. I've read that it could be my graphics card. It could just be Tane, which I think it is because my graphics card, the fan isn't even running right now. And I think, look at this and see. Yeah, I can look at this and I can see, like, what's being used in my graphics card. And by this, I mean Open Hardware Monitor. For those who aren't acquainted with Open Hardware Monitor, it is an open source software that allows you to take a look at the performance of your computer in real time. And by that, by performance, I mean, like, heat generation, how well things are running. You know, I used to use it to keep an eye on my graphics card, the one that would, you know, periodically sort of overheat, just to keep an eye on the temperature while I was playing games, and to manually adjust the fan speed, because sometimes that would get the fan moving when it didn't really want to otherwise, when it would get stuck. So, yeah, no, I wholeheartedly recommend it for anyone who's doing PC stuff. You know, especially if it's a computer that you've either built yourself or you have a reason to want to keep an eye on it. For example, you have a graphics card that's going out on you. Or you just want to use it to keep an eye on your, wow, this is an obnoxious one. On the inner workings of your computer. It doesn't do the same things that Task Manager does. It doesn't make Task Manager obsolete by any stretch. It shows you a different set of statistics. So, like I said, I recommend it to use to keep an eye on your thing. And again, it can be used to directly control stuff in your computer, like the fan speed. I'm not sure what else you can do, because fan speed is the one that I actually paid attention to. But it does do that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building a hill over here on this. Yeah, see, this is more the performance I was used to, that we were used to. So it really just says to me, hey, you've got to take a breather with those 5-meter grids. And yeah, maybe if we get Service Pack 4 or a hotfix or something, I'll try it once again. But for now, I'm probably not going to touch them for a good long while. Which is unfortunate, because they were very nice. They were very, very good. But you know, good things don't come cheap in terms of performance. Yeah, I don't know what's the best solution necessarily. You know, what parts I actually need to replace. I know I should be working at, I should be looking at RAM and a graphics card, or not a graphics card, RAM and a processor sooner rather than later, but there's some serious monetary investments, and I can't exactly justify that right now. Especially since the computer is running what we might call well enough. You know, I just put this graphics card in it not too long ago, and since then it's been running fairly well. So I don't want to screw with it, and I don't feel like spending the money to screw with it. I am getting to the point where I'm, you know, because I'm working, and because I'm not really actively spending money on a whole lot of things. I am accumulating money, which is a very good thing, but I've got this thing looming in the distance that the folks call student loans. So, you know, very soon I'll have to start repaying those, and I'm not looking forward to it. Not by any stretch of the imagination. And the important thing with that is that there are going to be some pretty hefty payments, so the fact that I have a few bucks saved up, and I'm reluctant to spend money, is really, it's a good thing. So, here's something that you don't always realize when you start saving, you know, decent amounts of money for the first time. Just because you have money doesn't mean you need to spend money. And that is something that people seem to tend to forget a lot. Especially people that are coming out of, you know, if not poverty, then, you know, at least it's their first time having real income. You know, having any money that they can really call their own and they can spend on their own. You know, it can feel like that your bank balance is a burden and that you want to get rid of it. Or it can feel like that, you know, hey, I've got all this money, look what I can do with it. When you're not really thinking about the long term, you're not thinking about, okay, what can I save this for? Or, you know, is there really a good reason for me to buy this thing? Whatever it may be. You know, whether it be clothes or your next Mikado. Or K&L even. Although, you know, for small purchases, I don't think it matters as much. It certainly doesn't, you know, money-wise matter as much, but small purchases can add up, you know? And that's sort of what people sometimes harp on about these days, where folks my age are spending too much on, to use the commodity of choice, avocado toast. You know, that, of course, is kind of BS, but the idea behind it is the fact that we just as a collective, as a populace, we tend to spend a lot of money on little things that don't cost a whole lot, and figure, you know, it won't amount to anything, but it does. And I even do that myself. You know, oftentimes I'll ride my bike to work because, or well, not to work, but I'll ride my bike to the train station because parking is $5. And $5 is not a lot of money, but that's $25 a week. And $25 a week means $100 a month. And I'm not sure about you guys, but I don't really like spending $100 a month if I can avoid it. Now, of course, bicycling to work depends on a lot of things, including, you know, the weather, and just how tired I am, because if I'm exhausted, which I was and have been for many days after the Amtrak, because, let's be honest, even though it's a vacation, travel is tiring. And so I have been doing a lot of sleeping. And, well, actually, the correct thing to say is I've been doing a lot of wanting to sleep. And I've been very tired, and between my job and other obligations, including company that we had, which I'm, very happy to have had, but nonetheless, I haven't gotten a whole lot of sleep. I've gotten less sleep than I would like to get. So, the fact of the matter is, things can keep you from sleep, things can keep me from sleep, and that, in the end, ends up costing me, like I said, about $100 a month. Wow, what? Yeah, terrain, just in general, editing terrain is a little bit laggier than it was. But anyway. I think I'm going to add a bunch of water going in this direction. Oh, okay, we found a riverbank. Okay, so yeah. So when you get your first job, be careful. And if you get your first job, if you're young, and I know my audience trends a little younger, so that's why I give this kind of advice. But, the thing to do is to save, a decent portion of it. When you're younger, it doesn't matter as much, because you're probably living under your parents' roof or what have you, and you really don't have month-to-month or week-to-week expenses. But as you get older, you will. And that's stuff like a phone bill, car insurance, gas, even. Although, thinking about the not-so-distant future, maybe not. Rent, it depends if you move into a place or if you end up paying rent to your parents or whatever. I think both is fine. Either or. But either way, you're probably going to be spending some money for lodging. And you want to save up for big things too. Because it's not just the day-to-day that you have to worry about. And while, yeah, don't treat the money in your bank account as things you have to get out of there, when you do have plenty, you can think about, okay, what do I do with this? Or what do I do with a portion of it? Obviously, budget. Don't go crazy right away. Don't spend all of your money on a trip to fabulous Las Vegas or whatever. Don't dump thousands of dollars into an around-the-country trip if that's all you have. Especially if you are coming off of like a summer job and you don't know when you're going to have more income. Because you don't know what you're going to need or want to spend that money on in the meantime. The thing I usually do, and this is a recommendation, this is not original of me, but if you happen to have money and you see something where you go, oh, I want that, especially if it's a lot of money, take a breather. Wait, maybe a day, maybe more, maybe less, depending on what the purchase is, and come back to it. If you still want it, then maybe give a hard consideration into getting it. Best example that I have from recent times for me is a speeder that I saw on eBay. And it's a little bit different because I didn't actually have the money to buy it right then and there, but I knew I would soon. And so it was the kind of thing where I was sure I could, say, hey, could I borrow this money and then pay you back when I, actually start working? Because this was right before I got my job. Or right before I started working on my job. It was after I had it, technically. But I sat on it for a while. I thought about it. And a speeder's a pretty big purchase. You've got to worry about things like, where do you keep it? What are you going to do with it? It's sort of like buying a boat, almost. Except you might get more enjoyment out of it. No offense, boat owners. Boats are great. I'm never going to own one. The key is to have a friend that has a boat. Or a family member, in my case. But it is true, and I've heard it, certainly, that the two best days with a boat are the day that you buy the boat and the day you sell the boat. Because holy cow, is that a burden on your expenses? A boat. It's a lot of money. The upkeep, housing it, if you keep it in a marina or whatever, undoubtedly there are not insignificant fees that go with that. I'm sure there's some sort of, registry, just like cars, that you have to get. Insurance for it as well. You can insure your boat. And, yeah. Anyway. I thought about it. I decided, I don't think I should buy this right away. Maybe I'll think about it, maybe I'll talk it over with people. And then it was bought by somebody else. So basically my problem was solved, my question was answered right away. So, my mission was accomplished, effectively. By that. By just waiting a little while, I didn't have to make that decision, and I didn't have to, A, regret that missed opportunity, not wondering what happened to my speeder, what could have been, or to have it and then, have spent this exorbitant sum on this thing and then not necessarily know what to do with it, because I'm not even sure what I would do with a speeder. There are a few areas where I could probably run it, like north of Middletown on Essex. There are a couple of areas where I could probably get away with running it if I knew the schedule well enough. But other than that, it's like, okay, what do I do? What am I going to do? I'm going to drive up to New Hampshire and run it over the Mountain Division, or what? There are certain areas that, it's definitely abandoned track, but it's still in place, or it's unused track, but it's still in place, and there's areas where it's used sparingly, where you might be able to get away with it, but that's more trespassing than trespassing. I feel like if you're riding a speeder on someone else's track, that's a little bit more heinous, and I could see getting in some pretty not insignificant trouble for that. Or alternately, if they're chill enough, you could probably ask them. I doubt that most railroads have really a policy with regard to it, but I'll bet you that a lot of little tourist lines, if you pay them some sort of token sum to run over a portion of the line that they either use sparingly or don't use, it won't be that big of a deal. Or it wouldn't be that big of a deal. On the other hand, it might be. On the other hand, the worst they can do is say no, don't do that. You can call them up and ask them. Sometimes it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, but I feel like with that sort of thing, especially because the cops will probably just confiscate your speeder, they'll impound the thing, I guess. Yeah, no, I wouldn't think that's a good decision in most cases. Unless the line is definitely not going to be seen by anyone, especially anyone of the company and anyone of the neighborhood, or wherever it runs. That's why I say the Mountain Division, the Crawford Notch, because there are certain areas of the Conway Scenic that basically never see a train, except for once in a very long while. However, that does not mean that there won't be work trains, and that's what you really have to watch out for, in terms of being concerned about trespassing. And you don't want to get smashed by a work train just the same, but usually, if there are workers out there, the worst case scenario is you're going to be puttering into a zone where there are a bunch of people in hard hats and high-vis vests staring at you and going, what are you doing here? Most tourist lines don't go all that fast. And moreover, a lot of tourist lines don't use the train to get to the work zone. Like, it can happen, it does happen in some cases, especially in areas where the work zones of the railroad are particularly remote. Maybe like the DNS, or even the WWF, who, it's not that far away from anything, but it's still kind of annoying to get there by truck. They bring pretty much everything in by train. And You know, that's not something unusual, it's not something unheard of, but it's something that doesn't happen as often as you might expect. Because to bring a train out there usually means, A, you need to have maintenance-away equipment, which not every railroad does. And B, you need to have the budget to run the train for something non-revenue. And that can be the hurdle a lot of the time, aside from the equipment. Which, you know, they just might not have equipment, and what are you going to do, rent equipment? No, you're just going to drive out there in your pickup truck. You know, there are almost definitely, or, you know, there are definitely heritage railroads out there that were, you know, that pretty much are only heritage railroads, and they only have the equipment to do heritage things, and not, like, you know, freight cars, especially not workable freight cars. And I think, now I don't know this off the top of my head, although, no, never mind. I'm not gonna venture into a hypothetical necessarily. Well, I'm not gonna venture into a real life discussion of something that I don't know very much about. But I will think about the hypothetical, which is the fact that Strasburg Railroad, for example, mostly has some pretty easy road access for its entire length. Mostly. So you know, despite the fact that they use their engines pretty much whenever possible, whenever the situation warrants it, you know, I would not expect that they do the majority of their track work using the train to get there, because it's a relatively short line, and it's not at all remote. It would not be worth getting an engine running to take people out there. You can drive up to the crossing and walk 50 feet. So yeah. So there are different railroads. I feel like, in particular, the Conway Scenic might use work trains more than Strasburg, not necessarily on a purely quantitative basis, but just on a per train basis, because, well, let's be honest, they're a little bit more remote. And there are some railroads which definitely pretty much only use work trains, and the one that springs to mind is probably the Mount Washington Cog. Because you're not getting a truck up there. Although, no, actually, that's not true, because they have vehicles that can sort of climb up the patch next to the cog rail in a lot of places. So, maybe that's not true. But either way, they're the kind of railroad that I would expect most of their work to be done via work trains and not via trucks. Because it's just so painful to get to the areas. That said, I don't know what kind of maintenance work the COG actually does, because they run a pretty busy schedule, and I don't know when they would be down. You know, you can assume that they'd be down during the winter months, but they're not going to be able to do work during those months. The reason they shut down is because the area becomes even more inhospitable than it usually is. And they call Mount Washington the place with the worst weather in the world. To that end, for those who don't know, the second highest recorded wind speed ever was taken to the top of Mount Washington, and the only wind speed higher than it was actually taken in recent times, and was because of a hurricane. It's the highest sustained wind that's ever been recorded. And that means not a gust. I think it's the highest sustained wind. Or it's the highest non-storm associated wind or something like that. Although I don't know how you don't call that a storm when it's going over 300 miles an hour. I don't know, just a normal day on Mount Washington, I guess. This is looking better and better. I like this slope we've got going on here. The plateau tool really does come out good sometimes. I'm expecting to have questions, but I don't. It's kind of disappointing, actually. But, of course, that's, in no small part, that's my fault, because I released the last Under Construction very, very late. And, see, okay, for those of you wanting to comment, if Under Construction isn't out yet, and it's after Thursday, don't comment on the newest Under Construction. On whatever the newest Under Construction is. Because if it's after Thursday, it means there's a pretty damn good chance I already recorded it. I usually do a very good job of recording on Thursday, and the thing that holds it up is not Under Construction, but the Zombie Train. Because that means I need an extra 15 minutes somewhere, and the day after Thursday is Friday. And I gotta get down on Friday, so I can't just sit around on the computer, you know, even for a good 15 minutes to do that. But the issue is not the 15-minute commitment, it's the other commitment that goes with it. And by that I mean, okay, picture this. Now hear this. This is my schedule. This is my life you're about to be introduced to. I get up 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm up bright and early. So that means I go to bed at 11-ish. You know, really, I try to be in bed by 11. If I'm in bed later than that, to come full circle, I'm probably not riding my bike. Because I'm probably going to be dirt tired by the morning because I will not have had enough sleep. So, try to be in bed by 11. Now, wind back the clock a little bit. I usually get home from work at 6 p.m. And that's because my commute is about an hour and a half. Sometimes more, depending on if I'm riding my bike or not. And the thing is, because I get home at 6 and go to bed at 11, that gives me about 5 hours total at home. And that's enough time to eat, do laundry or whatever I need to do, take a shower, and then play games for a couple of hours. On a Thursday, that's eaten up. On Thursday, this is my playing games for a couple of hours, and I'm okay with that because, I'd want to be working on this anyway. But anyway, don't feel bad for me is what I'm saying. Don't do that. The thing that's the problem is the fact that then the next step is if I make this, or the next step in my logic, I mean, if I make this, okay, so I've made this. I sit down here for the 2 hours, I make the video. Then I have to process the video, or I have to render the video after I put the intro on it. And I have to put the audio with the video. That takes all of 15 minutes to actually stitch those two things together, but then I have to set it going, and usually, because it's a 2-hour-long video, it takes a while. It takes like overnight. But the next morning I wake up, I certainly don't have 15 minutes in the morning, because I have to catch my train. I could wake up earlier, but then I'd have to go to bed earlier. No, who wants to do that? So that means I get up, go to work on Friday morning. And I'm just explaining my tomorrow for you, basically, from this point of view. From me sitting here at the computer on Thursday night, making Under Construction. It's going to render out. In the morning, it'll be done. It'll probably be done, because unless the computer decides to restart during the night, it's going to be plenty of time. If it's not done by morning, it's going to be done when I get home. But that doesn't matter. The point is, next time I see the computer, which is when I'm home on Friday night at 6:30 or 6 o'clock, depending on how late my train is, if... God damn it. I'm losing my train of thought. This river is way too straight, huh? Sorry, so I get home, and I do all that, and so I get home. Sorry. I get home. And I need to raise this more. and I sit down at the computer and I say, oh, under construction's done. That's good. What's my next step? I need to go and I need to change the speed of the video. So I have to remove the audio from everything. I have to go and change the speed of the video so it's 800% speed, so that's 8 times speed. And then I have to render that out, basically. So I have to do a first round of rendering, and then when that's done, then I know how long I have to talk for. And actually, I don't have to wait for this anymore. I usually do it typically just in case something goes wrong. But in times of crisis, I realize I don't have to wait for this anymore. But either way, you know, usually I end up waiting because the computer's working while it's doing that. It's trying to figure out, okay, this video is going to be how long. I need to compress all the frames down because it's going to be, 29 point whatever frames per second. Okay, so it speeds it up 8 times. Then once that's done, I can make the zombie train. I can actually do the voiceover. I can actually do the thing that is required for the zombie train. And that usually involves, okay, I'll pull up the file, I'll see what I have to talk about today, I'll do a little bit of preliminary research, or I'll get some stuff up to look at, or go find old documents, or, sometimes, if necessary, I'll rewatch an old video to get a bearing on where I was, and what I was talking about, and what I was thinking at that point in time. So, I do that preliminary work, and that doesn't take a whole lot of time. Assume that between me putting the 8 times speed on and starting the video, maybe it's a half an hour, so maybe it's more, so tops, making the zombie train is going to take me, an hour. But the issue is, I can't do that unless I have that hour, or I do it in 2 segments where I come by, set the thing up to go to 8 times speed, then come by again, and actually make the video for real. The issue with that is that means I have to have 2 separate instances at the computer, or 1 long instance, which is something I sometimes don't have, especially on Fridays. A lot of the time I'll get home and I'll have to go somewhere, or I'll have to be with somebody. Guess who? And because of that, that means I don't have that time on Friday. If I, for whatever reason, don't have time on Friday, then it gets pushed off to Saturday. And if on Saturday I also have something else to do, which is even more likely than a Friday at that point, especially going to the Model Railroad Club, especially if there's an operating session, or whatever, if it's the podcast, I usually try to get Zombie Train out of the way before the podcast, because then the processing of that will hold up processing the podcast, which takes forever. But anyway, to boil it down, the point is, when I come home on Friday, which I have to wait until I come home on Friday to start working on the Zombie Train, and when I come home on Friday, I'm probably going to end up busy. So, it's very difficult to work on the Zombie Train sometimes, and because I release both of these videos at once, I have to have the Zombie Train done before I can release Under Construction. That said, it doesn't mean, and the reason that doesn't mean that, Under Construction isn't done yet, is because I try to make a point to actually do Under Construction on time. I come home on Thursday, I do Under Construction. It's really, that's always my go-to when I get here. And, maybe after I eat or whatever. But it's, the difficulty is then I'm doing that, oftentimes less than a week after the other video comes out. Now, today is a Thursday. Today, the podcast finally came out. 2 days ago was a Tuesday. 2 days ago, Under Construction came out. And so that means it was not just late, it was extraordinarily late. And A, that's something I try to avoid. And B, it makes it difficult for you guys, the commenters, to be able to watch the video, because it's a time commitment, and then leave an insightful response, or leave a provocative response. You know, something that will make me think, something that will make me get a good answer, you know, have a good response, or something like that. You know what I mean. And so I don't expect, or you know, I like to get the video out when it's supposed to be out, because it's designed to give you guys, the viewers, maximum time to watch the video and respond. Whereas I'm just cutting into that time by being late, and there's not really much I can do about that, unfortunately. The thing I could do is, or the only thing I really could do is to have, you know, is to do some quick maths, basically, and then have the audio for Zombie Train recorded separately. You know, an eighth of the length of the under construction video, and then just stitch them together later, which is something I could probably do remotely because I don't need to be able to hear it if I'm doing that. And yeah, it's something that I could do, but is it a good idea? I don't know. I don't know about that. So, yeah, that's always sort of my dilemma when it comes to this, and it's the reason that these typically come out late. And when they come out as late as Monday, it really doesn't, it makes me not want to post the building podcast, so the building podcast gets backed up. Speaking to the building podcast, server recently changed IPs, but honestly it's running better than ever. We did not change the hardware yet, but like I said, it's running pretty well right now. We are on 1.13, the release. There are a couple of new towns going up, so if you haven't gotten into the server and you want to play vanilla Minecraft with us, now is the time. There's a new town called Aquidneck out there somewhere, and there's a new town called Newport, which is a port, and it is new. So that's why we came up with that name, if you couldn't tell. You know, so Newport is out there. It's like 5 kilometers from spawn or so. It's actually not that far away. It's in newly generated area, so it's in 1.13 area. So that's really cool. Alright, I'm actually just going to, let's see, this tile is not done. Alright, what do I want to do for this? We pretty much know we're gonna need some ground over here. But I'm gonna have to build over to that. Let me do this, actually. 87 feet, or 87 meters. That's about how high the bridge is. So I'm gonna build across the way here. The thing is, we do have to sort of fit the land to the bridge. Where's the bridge? Oh, the bridge is over here. Oh, crap. The bridge is all the way over here. We have to narrow up this valley, don't we? Oh, crap. I didn't quite realize that. Well, actually, what I can do... Oh, you know what? I can do this. I can move the bridge way over here, and that'll give me way more room to go up when I come off the bridge in that direction, over there. Okay, so if center line is like here, put those right there. That almost reaches that, and this is pretty much center line of the river now. And that means that the other idea, which I'm gonna do 2 tracks now. Grab you, put you over here. Alright. Boop. Okay, so we're gonna try a 1% grade and see how high we get exactly. And then we're gonna try a 2% grade and see how high we get. So 1% is going to be this one. Whoops. Wrong button. Apply the grade. And then our 2% grade is going to be there. So you can see the difference. 1% grade's here. This is at 111. Our current track is at what? It should be pretty close. 129. Oh, that's higher than I thought, actually. The 2% grade is at like 140 something? No, 141. Okay. I figured that one out. So those are, like I was saying, those are our example pieces of track. Yeah, this area, there is, I think, a road or a train line that runs under here. Not under here. Yeah, so this is the Poughkeepsie side. Yeah, this is the Poughkeepsie side. We're not getting a track up this high, but we might be able to put a road up there. Okay, so we need to continue the great flatness. This is 505. Alright, so what does this do for our bridge? We can make it, 5 higher or whatever. Well, we can make it slightly higher than that. Oh god. Is this a 5-meter grid area? Is that why it's lagging out? Doesn't look like it is. Whoops, not plateau. I want to apply. No, this tile it's not playing nice with this tile. Wait, really? It's not? That's the reason? It's just not doing it? Come on, no, there's no way. It's gotta be a 5-meter grid tile or something. No, it's a... Interesting. Alright, whatever. Anyway. Guess we're just gonna deal with it for now. Thankfully, this one is in the middle of the river, and I don't have to do too much with it. Something curious, and I haven't looked at this, because it just sort of came to mind. How east-west is the Poughkeepsie Bridge? Is it really close to being east-west? Because I would think it is. As, sort of odd as that may be, I would think that it is. Okay. Fill in this area here. This is the area that I care about. And then we're going to be building Mason Valley up here. Maybe a little bit farther. Let's see. I don't know how far this is yet. Honestly, I probably could, if I wanted to be more aggressive with my descent, I probably could have come off here, or could have come off here and then wrapped around that way and gone under. But I don't know, I like this better. And in fact, I'm probably going to put a section of double track up here for uses. Okay. I've got to continue raising this area subtly. So anyway, we've gone from... What did we go from? We started with money and ended with my day. What else can we talk about? I don't know. I don't have any prompts today. Oh well. Maybe you should go on writing prompts and just try to extemporaneously create a prompt. Or create a response to that. Maybe Admiral Ellis stuff. Haven't talked about that in forever. I wonder if that channel still exists. Maybe it's disappeared. Maybe my embarrassment is gone from the internet. Okay, maybe it wasn't that embarrassing. I still like writing. I finished an episode of The Horseman the other day. Or yesterday, it must have been. Sometimes I write on the way to work, sometimes I sleep on the way to work. It depends on how tired I am. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna bring this out this way. Nope, no, like that. I don't want to disturb what I've already built, but I do have to go this way. Okay, the base dropped real hard on my route right there. Okay, why is this happening? Is it because there's track in this sector? Or the baseboard or something? It really shouldn't be, because it's not a 5-meter grid. What happens if I turn it into a 5-meter grid? How well is it gonna run now? Much worse. Nice. Nailed it. What is up with these tiles, man? Is it the bridge? Is it the track? I don't know what it is. Well, I know one thing. Building terrain here is going to be a nightmare. God, just look at that. That is awful. And over here it's not bad, but I crossed the line into this tile. No, that doesn't make any sense. So here it's being bastard, and over here it's working fine. So is it proximity to track? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, look at that. It's not like we've even crossed a borderline, it's just that that area is being a bastard. If I get rid of the tracks... Okay. How about now? Yeah, it's proximity to track, isn't it? So I can't easily adjust terrain around tracks. That's kind of a weird bug. Uh-oh. We're gonna fill this area in, because I know none of this is gonna be below 75. Probably none of it's gonna be below 80 or 87 or however tall this bridge is. Which, again, we kind of have to make as tall as we can, because we went too far up over there, like way too far up. We should put a Y wherever the summit of this is, or near it. You know, over here somewhere. Because if an engine is being used to just get up here, and it isn't needed to, you know, get up this stretch, which is just a short, relatively, 1.5, with a 1.7 or so thrown in, right there. That's pretty short. And another little 1.7 thrown in there. But anyway, we know with a little bit of gradients, up to 140 is attainable coming from here. In fact, more than that is attainable. I would say if I don't get much higher, that'd be better coming from the other direction, but sometimes I can't control even what I'm doing with the terrain. It just sort of happens, and then I have to deal with it. Something else that did occur to me, though, I did go out of my way to build Bristol Corner or Bristol Curve, whereas I probably could have just cranked up the gradient and gone straight. But I've been trying to do my best to be grade averse. The VMR is not known for its intense grades, even though it definitely has sections that are fairly intense. I just haven't built one yet. Most of those sections are on the other side of the peninsula, I would wager, because the other side is more rocky and less sort of rounded. There are worse grades over there. Anyway, yeah, that area is worse, and that's where the majority of the bad grades are. That also happens to be where the Zion and Skyline is. Zion and Skyline is known for its grades, and that's why they have massive malaise running with a lot of their trains. And thankfully, the coal is up and not down. But I will probably make I will probably make a section where when you leave the main yard and Skyline, you still have to go up. You have to go up in order to get to sort of the main line. The main line will probably go up and then down towards the other towns, including Zion and Gilson City. Oh, whoops. Come on now. Easy does it. Okay. Once these tiles are done, and I mean like up to this line here, I'm gonna start moving in with the track, and that'll be sort of the event for, pretty much the halfway point of this video. The other thing is I need to build this area so that it works. Alright, easy does it. I'm concentrating on this now because I'm playing a different kind of game at the moment. I'm playing okay, can I use the plateau tool to make this look, and be exactly what I want it to be, which is something that really you're not supposed to be doing. This is not typical usage. This is not how you play the game, so to speak. This is not how you build a route. I'm doing this because I can. I could totally build whatever terrain I wanted, put the bridge down, and then adjust it, but I'm trying to get it right on the first try. And honestly, that's kind of maddening. And might not be that smart. Okay, it just isn't that smart. I'll just say it. I'll say it out loud. It's not smart. It's dumb. Okay, why is that slightly shorter than the other ones? Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it. This is great time-lapse music. This song in particular is great time-lapse. Is a great time-lapse song. I can make a cliff here. Look at this. Although the lyrics are totally gibberish, but maybe that's good. Oh, that's right, I have to raise it more. Huh, don't I? So I should not be doing this right now. Whatever, it's a good start. Okay, last time we last time the river went up was back here. Right here. Okay, it's time to go up again. Let's delete this. I'm trying to get 10 meters up before, this. Sad water over here. Okay, and now delete the connecting water. And now raise this to like 8 meters or so. Oh crap. Wait, what? What's connecting you two? How about get rid of all this? Yeah, there we go. I got a raise, guys. Maybe now I can afford a new processor. Okay. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. And we are gonna start raising the ground wholesale over here. And I'm not talking about a little bit, I'm talking about we're going up. No, this is happening. We're going up. Okay. Oh. Didn't blend this. Okay. Blend. But will it blend? I wonder if Graham ever made his lemonade. You can hear more about that story on the podcast. That's a story from the Amtrak. I think I told most of that story. If not, okay, here's what happened. So I gave everybody a packet of Dell's lemonade mix. Now, Dell's, for those of you that are not from Rhode Island and or Massachusetts or just New England in general, Dell's is frozen lemonade. It's sort of like a slushy or a Slurpee or whatever, but better. And it's pretty much a staple of the area. And personally, I'm not a big fan of Dell's. I like their rival, New England lemonade, better. But at least when it comes to lemon, when it comes to like watermelon flavor, Dell's is better. But Dell's is not better than New England lemonade. Lemonade, like actual lemonade. Anyway, I digress. You can choose for yourself when you come to visit me. I know all of you are. But I got a packet for everyone that I was going to meet on the trip. So I got a packet for TBA, a packet for Milky, a packet for Mason, and a packet for Graham. And when I say I mean Madison and I, because she picked it out, I think, if I recall correctly. But we brought them stuff. And everyone got their own specialized gift, but everybody got a packet of lemonade. Now, not Mason. Mason's parents know who I am. I think. At least a little. Graham's parents, or Graham's mom at least, I guess, has no idea that the Iron Horsemen as a group exists. They do not know that all of his friends are on the internet and could just be Russian bots. You don't know. Maybe I am. Bliad. Okay, maybe he does because he's met me in person. But they don't know that we exist. They don't know that he has all these friends on the internet that he plays games with and goes on podcasts with, etc. So yeah, I don't know how he's kept that up for that long, but we give him these things. We give him a book called Read This If You Want to Take Great Pictures, which is something that we found at a gift shop over in East Providence that has a lot of Rhode Island specific goods called Frog and Toad. Shout out to that shop. And then also, like I said, we gave them these things of lemonade. And now, the lemonade on its own is a cool gift. It's, a Rhode Island thing especially. It's really something to be enjoyed during summer, or all year round if you live in New Mexico. Or Arizona, or any place out there. There's places where it literally never rains. Where it's like, hotter than Satan's balls and drier than this joke. I'm really trying to make sure the water isn't higher than the land at any point. Yeah, no, it's not great right now, isn't it? I need to make this higher, don't I? But yeah, so there's not a lot of water out there, is my point. So therefore, lemonade, iced lemonade, is a refreshment year round. So we could have this whenever, but because he's never told anyone that we exist, he now had to. No, he didn't have to. I think. I don't think it got explained to anybody. But his impression was, great, now I have these things, I have to explain where they came from. Or really, his thing was, I have to figure out how to explain where they came from without actually telling anybody the truth. I don't know why. But anyway. I don't know. So, he then takes the lemonade and the book, which is, he goes, I'll just have to say I went by a bookstore or something. And it's like, okay, well, what are you gonna do with the lemonade? And I didn't ask that, but that's sort of what I thought. And then later he texts me and he says, I'm gonna just make the lemonade real quick before anybody notices. Which, he's not home alone at this point. He's home with his mom or whatever. And he has to he intends to stealthily make iced lemonade, or, yeah. Frozen lemonade is the word. Or is the actual name for it. Dell's Frozen Lemonade. And, oh my god. He didn't really read the instructions before he announced that. And the thing is that you have to blend up a butt ton of ice cubes to make the thing. He didn't realize that. And so later I get a panicked message saying, I have to use the blender? Because, like, you're not gonna frickin' stealthily use a blender. Immediately I'm sure it's gonna be like, what the hell? Why are you making all that noise? Why are you using the blender? And then he would have to explain, I got this stuff from mysterious strangers that came to me on a train. And I'm sure his mom would be like, oh, you have such wacky dreams. And then she'd realize the packet of lemonade is real, and that there's only one place where it could have come from, and then they would probably have to fumigate the house looking for rogue New Englanders or something. I understand that out there, people moving, to those locations, Colorado, etc. Mostly Colorado, because that's the one that actually looks good. But to a lesser extent, Utah, I guess, if you're desperate. So the thing is, I don't know what happened. That's really what my question ends up being. It's like, did he ever make the lemonade? Did he get busted? Did he have to explain? I don't think he had to explain that we exist, because there would have been fallout from that. Like, in some manner of speaking. Not, like, bad fallout necessarily. But just being explained, oh yeah, they know who you are now. And me being like, okay, that's cool, I guess. I didn't intend to remain anonymous. I'm not trying to diddle him, I'm just trying to, like, I don't know what I'm trying to do. He's a guy who hangs around. I really don't have any interest in diddling Graham. Just gonna lay that on the table. Just putting that out there. No interest. Okay, does this look good? I don't know, it's getting kind of wobbly up here. This is the main span. So let's very subtly, I'm doing everything subtly these days, subtly gave Graham a packet of lemonade, and he subtly made it in a very quiet blender. If you're wondering what else everyone got, again, I think I talked about this on the podcast, but if you don't want to listen to the long freaking podcast, which I don't blame you if you don't, I recommend, because it's actually not a bad podcast considering that it's really long, and we got pretty tired, especially Jader. But honestly speaking, though, Jader toughed it out. Okay, yeah, gifts. The gifts have to be one of my favorite parts of the Amtrak. Just especially because of TBA's gift, which, if you've watched Factorio, you will really get this. If you haven't, oh well. I'll explain it. So, we got him a raptor. A Build-A-Bear raptor. Which I didn't know was a thing until we happened to go by Build-A-Bear, and I saw it, and I went, well, I know what we're getting TBA for this trip. So we got him a freaking Build-A-Bear raptor, and we named it Tuba Avenger, because why not? Whatever, we were goofing around. And we made the voice, because you can, on Build-A-Bear things, you can make the thing say, you know, I love you, or whatever. Or you can record your own. And so I decided that the best idea, which it was to record TBA's death scream from that one episode of Factorio where he gets almost murdered by biters and has to retreat back into the base. So, yeah. Okay, these are mostly hovering, but not quite, so I haven't raised it by that much. Okay, something I've got to point out about a bridge like this. Anyway, yeah, so, I'll get to the bridge thing in a second. The rest of the gifts. Milky got the trolley and interurban directory, which I've had for literally years and have wanted to give to him for about ever. Ever since I got it, I wanted to give it to him. I got it with him in mind. Which it was just on the free books shelf at the Providence Northern Model Railroad Club. And, I went, oh, this is awesome. I need to send this to Milky. Or I need to give this to Milky. And I never got the chance because I never went out to Oregon until the Amtrak. And then the next thing, other than the dinosaur, everyone got lemonade. Mason got a book called This Road Sucks and Other Road Signs, or something like that. Which has a bunch of, like, funny, sort of satirical road signs. And who am I missing? No, Graham, TBA, Milky, and Mason. Yeah, that's everybody. Okay, so this bridge, right? You can pretty clearly tell which parts of this are over water and which parts of it are not in real life. The water starts over here. Well, it starts here or so. And it ends over here. Now, this pillar, this pillar, this pillar, and this pillar are in the water. And if you'll notice up here, the bits that are on land, the pillars are much, much closer together. That's because it's a lot easier to build pillars on land versus water. And so, the only reason this bridge feels out of place is the fact that it does not cover as wide a area of water as one might hope. Or as it really looks like it should. And that kind of disappoints me, but there was no way I was making a mile-wide river. To be fair, they did a pretty good job of positioning the bridge when they built it in real life to cross a relatively narrow part of the Hudson. Unlike the Tappan Zee Bridge, for those of you who know it, which crosses the Hudson almost at its widest point. And there's a reason for that, and it has everything to do with money and very little to do with actual bridge construction. It's the fact that, so, the New York Port Authority, I believe it is, controls all of the bridges near New York City. And there's an exclusion zone of however many miles. For example, 30 miles. I'm not sure if it's 30 miles, that's a number I just pulled out of my rear end. But say 30 miles. There's an exclusion zone. Anything within that 30 miles, if there is a bridge, the New York Port Authority owns it, and they can control it, and they can put tolls on it, or they can collect the toll money from it, or whatever. And so yeah, there's that. When they were building the Tappan Zee Bridge, they didn't want to deal with the New York City Port Authority. So they went to just outside of that exclusion zone and built this giant bridge. And that is why the Tappan Zee Bridge is where it is. It has nothing to do with the geography. It has nothing to do with... Or, well, it has a little bit to do with the geography and the undersea geography and where they can actually put a bridge. Because obviously they couldn't put a bridge where it's physically impossible to put a bridge. But the location of the bridge, the area, the general area in which the bridge is, has everything to do with the fact that they were trying to avoid being under the thumb of this regulatory agency. And mostly, not because they didn't want the regulations, but because they wanted the toll money for themselves. And by they, I mean New York State DOT, I believe. There are plenty of bridges in New York City, so it's not an issue of, well, you just, nobody wants to deal with them, or, interstate highways are special in this way, or something like that. No, it's just, when they were building the bridge, NYC dot, or, NY dot and the Port Authority couldn't come to an agreement, I guess, or they didn't want to try. And so, therefore, we have the humongous bridge that we have today. The 3 mile long or so, I don't know what it's called now, the Governor Cuomo Bridge or whatever. The Tappan Zee Bridge. It's the Tappan Zee Bridge. It'll always be the Tappan Zee Bridge. Pretty sure it'll always be the Tappan Zee Bridge for most people, to be honest. Just like the Newport Bridge and Jamestown Bridge, the Newport Bridge is the Claiborne-Pell Bridge, but I have not heard anyone call it the Pell Bridge outside of official correspondence, literally ever. And I'm not sure if I'm totally being honest and serious about that. I'm not sure if I'm using literally in the proper way or using it as emphasis. Which, for the record, using literally as emphasis is not a new thing. I learned this recently. It's, you can see it being used like hundreds of years ago for emphasis, which I think is kind of nuts. Because we feel like it's such a more recent thing. Oh, I literally did this and I literally did that, when you're saying, literally meaning figuratively or literally for emphasis. Literally, I ate literally all the cake in the store when you only ate one cake. Which is, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of cake. But you understand what I mean. I'm sure all of you have heard that usage of the word literally. I'm certain that you all have. I bet literally every single person has either used it or heard it. Alright, I need to make this seem natural and not like, oh, here's a bunch of random terrain that is clearly here for me to put the bridge on. Which right now, it definitely doesn't look exactly like that. The poison for Cusco. Cusco's poison specifically for Cusco. Okay. Now, in real life, nestled underneath the bridge here is the town of Poughkeepsie. And, admittedly, I think it's kind of cute during the day. I don't really have any intentions of building a Poughkeepsie-like town, but I could do with putting a small settlement here. Okay, that looks pretty damn cool, if I'm gonna be honest. Especially if I put it up here. Just sort of like Adams, where it's up on the hill. Although it's probably going to be even smaller than Adams. I can make a little hamlet of only a few houses, which just has a flag stop on the route. This looks pretty good. It's the first time I'm really building a round track, on this map at least. You know, it's the first time I've done it in a long time. I'm sort of forgetting how much it makes you make awkward decisions. You know, having a solid idea of where the track is going to go makes you have to build terrain for the track. You know, even if you're doing it a little, it's clouding your judgment. It's making you do things in a certain way and build things in a certain way so that you can put the track through there, or so that you can have it line up with the track. So you don't have to do a lot of work after the fact, because you've already built the track, why build it again? And, you know, that was, you know, I'm just thinking about this with this bridge, because in my head I went, okay, I'll just build I'll build the cliffs, I'll build the hills and the valley, and then I'll just put the bridge in where it fits. But I can't do that with such a large, immobile, relatively speaking, piece. I can't change the length of this bridge, I can't really change the height of it, it doesn't have a gradient, and so the fact of the matter is I'm stuck with this bridge the way it is, and because of that, I have to build things in a certain way. And it's very limiting, because, you know, it's making a lot of decisions for me, and it's making me build things that I otherwise wouldn't. So my hands are kind of tied by this bridge right now. You know, like, I'm building this up here to sort of make this seem sensible. You know, why didn't they build across here? I don't know. To right here. Because this would have made more sense. It's closer. So, I can't really build this like this, because why would you build that way instead of this way? It's shorter, and it would take a lot less resources. I can't use a hill, really, as a discouragement. I have to use something else. Which means that instead of having this here, I have to do the opposite with it, and I have to lower it. But that, on the other hand, means that now the bridge is going to be on its own on a fairly awkward looking piece of land that I have to make look natural. And the only real solution to this is to make the whole area the same sort of height, mostly the same height. And it's the question of, okay, well, how do I do that? And what makes it really compelling to prove that, no, this is the way it is, this is the way it should be, this is the way it was naturally, and then they built this bridge. Because now this I can see a little bit more. See, this is more of a steep drop-off. If you did this, you'd have, you know, potentially significantly more bridge to build. More taller sections, whereas on here you can get away with the shorter areas. The other thing is you got to think about, okay, what, you know, again, going this way still probably would have been better than right here, but now I can use a hill as a discouragement. See, they wanted to dodge this hill here. Yeah, they wanted to avoid this hill here, so they built the bridge slightly more to the north at this end. Okay. Now, the other question is, what do I do with this big blank space I just made in the middle of these two hills? The answer is really build another hill, but I don't feel like building another hill right now. So 141, we're now at 89. So we didn't really get that much higher. We maybe got 5 meters higher. Honestly, not fantastic, but it helps. Now, something that is very noticeable on the what side is this? Something that's very noticeable on the west side of the real Poughkeepsie Bridge, which I did actually build this right. See, this is north. Poughkeepsie is over here on the side of the river. Riverside, I think, or something. River, whatever, is on this side of the river. And this is how the bridge looks in real life, more or less. Again, there's more river here. But again, if I recall correctly, while the east side of the bridge is pretty sedate, you know, there's enough room to build the town of Poughkeepsie and everything. Enough room for that town. The west side of the bridge pretty much goes straight into mountains. There's really not that much built up on the west side of the bridge. So that might be what I emulate over here, where instead of an area where it becomes relatively flat, you know, like you're at the top of a valley, you're really just in a valley that attaches to another valley. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this side right here, because we still have to connect up with the other area. But I know at least what I have to do, which is I need to start ascending. So this is probably going to be a situation where I might do that on both sides. You know, I might have the valley and the valley on both sides so that I have a real reason to start going up. You know, because I'm going to run out of space over here very soon if I stay at this level. You know, should I do something that's not terrain? Nah. We're getting somewhere. We're doing pretty well. Yeah. This is actually encouraging me to sort of turn to the north right over the bridge, so I think I'm going to sort of keep moving with that idea. That means I'm probably going to want to build a nice big hill over here. Or at least a valley with a hill behind it that looks a lot bigger than it is. Well, the thing is, if I box this area off here, which I didn't really do a lot of work on this side of this peak. Yeah. If I box this off, I can start a new base height right behind it, and maybe even carry that all the way back. At least in that general direction. Now we've got to get up to 129 or so, ideally higher, so that the other segment can continue going alongside the river, going up a little bit, and yeah. Although, something I might do. Yeah, okay, I just thought of something. For the other side, to sort of stem the rise. Okay, so we're gonna go over here for a bit. To stem the rise, what I'm thinking is, so the river's gonna come up to over here, which I need to do at some point. The river's down here right now. Then what I can do is I'm thinking of a little area called Edgewood. And the tracks have to come by here. But if I build a lake here, that means that the river won't be going up. So I only have to go up from like here to here or so. And that's it. And then I can go over here, I can build a nice Y if I build a flat area, and then I can go into the tunnel and come out at the summit here. The other thing is, you know, if we're coming from here to here, mostly in another valley or whatever, there's probably going to be a little stream in there. I don't think I'm going to model that. Yeah, it would probably be a large enough collection area to get its own stream. But do I feel like that? No, I don't feel like doing that at all. So that means we've got to work on this area. It almost feels weird coming back to here now. This is down. Okay, so what I think is... Oh, this is 5-meter grid, isn't it? Oh no, it's just got track in it. That's what. Grab this height. This is 128. Okay, I need to get used to using the plateau tool more. Because the plateau tool has been a lifesaver over there. Although I'm not sure it's great in this sort of situation where we are really up in the mountains. But in a situation where we're going from mountains to flatlands, yes. Plateau tool, though, the place that the plateau tool really shines is when you have an area where you're working from a elevation down. So this is not really where it's going to do great because we're up here with the peaks. We are at 129, and some of the hills that we go past are lower than that. Or some of the hills that we have gone past, I should say. That said, doesn't keep me from doing this, using the plateau tool to sort of even things out and make life a little bit easier. Alright, we're doing this. We're doing this. Yeah, so it's not making it look that much better, but it will make it look a lot better in the long run, because cleaning up the seams now, cleaning up the seams early, is very, very important. Although, and to be ADD for a second here, I want to go back now. I want to go back and build the track that we were going to build. Once I finish cleaning up the seams just a little bit more, I think I'm going to go over to where we were. Uh-oh. This is 5 meter. This is definitely 5 meter. And now it doesn't look great. Yeah, so let me go back here. Let me give an assessment of how far along these areas actually are. So where's the divider line? Right there. Okay, can we finish this area real quick? Can we? I don't know. I don't know if we can, to be honest, because I'm not sure if I trust what we've done so far and, like, connecting it to everything else. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do this, or at least I'm gonna get the bottom of this area done, or at least the side. You know, this transition area where we're going from this tile to this tile done enough so that I can put it in 5 meter grid, and I probably won't have to mess with the terrain again. At least not in any significant capacity. So, yeah, that's a good thing, but is this trustworthy? Is this done? You know, because it needs to be done up to here, and if it's not, then I'm going to have to adjust it again, and I don't want to... Actually, I'm being a derp. I'm being kind of a derp, because I only have to 5 meter grid the areas that are actually getting track. And this tile is not going to get tracked by any stretch of the imagination. These three are not. This one is. This one is. But those three are not. This one is. This one is. This one is. Is this done? Yeah, it's done. This is done. At least down here is. Up there, not so much. But I can get tracked over here. In fact, I can probably get tracked over here. I can bring track up to the base of the bridge. That's something that I can do. Although I shouldn't. I should bring it to about here. Wait, let's see. No, I shouldn't. I should bring it to here. So let's change this to a 5-meter grid. And there. Alright, please tell me it didn't screw with the edges of the tiles. Good, they said they fixed that bug. Okay, because if they had not fixed that bug, this strategy would be a lot less feasible. It'd be a lot more annoying. So let's follow the edge a little bit. Let's turn off this, because God knows we don't need to put a gradient on this line. Oh, where are we going to put the castle? I forgot about the castle again. Okay, can I give this a gradient of like 0.5? What is it? What will that look like? Okay. I can actually lower that a little bit. I've done this before, but giving things a gradient of like 0.01 is a great way to keep them at least relatively flat while you're working on them. Is this actually flat back here? No, it's not. It just looks like that on the map. That just has, that tile hasn't updated yet. The issue is we're probably not going to get high enough to you know what? I take that back. We may. So get rid of the gradient again. Alright, now we need to just figure out a way to actually navigate this area without making a total fool of ourselves. Like this way, and then I think we should skirt kind of close to the bottom of the bridge. Oh, that's right, I said I wouldn't go this far. And look what we've done again. Just automatically, we did that. And by we, this time, I mean I. I did that. I shouldn't be doing that, and I talked about why you shouldn't do that. So I'm going to aim a little bit more in this direction and hope that that decision doesn't influence my future building too much. Okay, so this is the part that I really have to be concerned about. That is a straight section that maybe shouldn't all be straight. And this is a curved section that probably needs at least 2 or 3 more spline points, because we're not following straight curve right now, and that's a mistake. And that's not good either. So actually, I want this to be flat, so let's get 0.01 and do that, and do that, and then do this, and this is going to be eyeballed, mostly. Sort of like the olive branch was, it's going to be mostly eyeballed. And I said I should build to about here, so here's where the eyeballage is going to stop for now. This is maybe the widest turn on the entire map so far. And this is a really, really awkward stretch of track. If I push this... No. How do I make this look good? I mean, it looks to be pretty decent with its cut and fill, but I can't necessarily testify to how that is until we go through and do this. And that's as far as we're going to do cut and fill, because we're at the edge of the area. And so we're doing a pretty good job of everything, I think. Although this is negative 0.4 and this is positive 0.9. So, what happens if I get rid of the spline plate? 0.26. On a very, very wide curve. On a wide and very long curve, I should say. How does that look? The thing that I probably should do, actually, is extend this, because it feels like... No, that's wrong way. Opposite of what I just said. But the curve is too spiral for my liking. It's not a good circular curve. Also, it's hovering. Okay, how about that? Is that good enough? Well, it's on a much taller embankment now. Although, much taller is relative. It's really not that tall of an embankment. In fact, it's kind of stubby. But this is enough of a bridge to make something that looks pretty cool for a little short line. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at bridges. Why not? Nope. All that, nope. Let's go to bridge. Let's just check out bridge. Maybe I can use a box girder bridge, because I never get to use one of those, and they look cool. Plate bridge, Outrun, no. Deck girder bridge, those are the edges one. Warren Truss, BDW. How did I get... What is BDW? Oh, no, don't do that to me. Stop it! I'm holding shift. That's a pretty nice little bridge. I can make use of that. Track is a little bit wonky on the inside, though. Actually, that is super cute. I will have to use that somewhere, if not here. I'm going to place that down just to sort of use as a, bridge how deck truss. Not bad. This is a wooden one, huh? Oh, it's too tall. Also, the other thing is, I should stay away from, Oh, I've got some other ones. Oh. Deck girder bridge. Oh, okay, I see. Bridge brick steel, how through truss. Plate deck. What is this? Oh, that's not bad at all. I could definitely use that somewhere, but I'm looking for something a little bit flashier here. Stony Creek Bridge. Just use generic stone bridge, girder bridge. Whatever this is. Plate girder bridge. Pennybacker bridge. Oh, it's... Okay, never mind. I always think that's much smaller. RRTK. SAP stuff. Old Warren Truss 2-track version. This. No, it's too tall. Damn, every time I think I have the opportunity. I think I'm going to use this. So let's. This was B. What was this called? not MB. It was another. Oh, I can do this. BDW. Right. Let's look at BDW. Nope. BDW. No, nothing. Warren Trust Pier. Okay, that's extra thick. Oh, what is this? Oh, that's cool. Huh. To use that somewhere. Lower Line Mill Creek Bridge. Whoa! Holy mackerel. I think I'm going to use these bridge ends. Okay, so lower this until you can see that. That seems to have lined up pretty well. Other side. Turn this around. Lower it until it's in the right spot. I don't need to hold control the whole time. I don't know why I'm doing it. Although, honestly, what I should do is, instead of that, I should just lower it a little bit more and get that. Ah, whatever. I guess that's fine. Because the tracks are not quite low enough to touch on the other side. Yeah, it's either there and I'm touching the track, or a little bit lower and I'm not. And I'd rather be touching the track. Clear that. And I'll add the pillars in a second. I have a love-hate relationship with the with these kind of bridges. The ones that come with pillars separately, but the pillars are in the objects menu instead. And the reason I like them is because then I can use those pillars for road bridges too. But the reason I don't like them is that I have to do all of this manually. You know, it's not the end of the world, it's just, you know, mostly a minor annoyance. But okay, here's my question. If this is okay, so we've got this. Is this the right pillar for this even? So support wire IRM Steam Shop. I don't need that right now. DG Bridge End. No. Okay. So what was this? What was this bridge? This is the Warren Truss. So yeah, it's supposed to be these piers. Okay, I guess these piers are just real big. Alright, rotate it. They're also quite tall, so I could probably use this bridge again in the not-so-distant future. Somewhere on the VMR. Part of me is tempted to make it, to add a second bridge with no track next to this bridge. It'll line this up better. Either that or what I really need to do is just position the abutment better, I'm pretty sure. Especially this one. This one needs some work. Also, the fact of the matter is, these don't quite line up. Can I roll this? No? Oh wait, no, it's this. Ah, I wanted to roll it so that the back end was a little bit lower. I wanted to see if I could get away with that. Apparently I cannot. Oh well. This bridge is cute. I wanted to do things a little bit differently, and I think I still could. I don't know if I can search for the right kind of bridge, and this isn't quite tall enough to do what I would otherwise do. But I should put... Okay, hold on. Oh, that's right, I know what I was doing with the flat area. That's not right. Hold on. Let me put something here. Let me see if I can find something. Or, moreover, let me see if something exists. Castle. Okay, I can literally build my own castle. This is fun. I'm building a castle. I'm serious. This is what I'm doing, guys. I'm building a castle. Oh, crap. We only have two kinds of castle walls. Disappointed. Thing is, I would like not all of them to be this tall, but I'm trying to match them up with the other thing. Can I put like this inside? Yeah, I can. Now we have an inner and outer keep. Okay. I'm gonna add another one with a door over here, so you can get in the castle from both sides. There's this one. Like a Hellcat. Okay. I'll put this over here. Alright, so we have the main doors, the main gate there. We're gonna have one that with this tower going straight up the middle. Sort of weirdly asymmetric, but you know what? I'm okay with it. You know why? Because it's my castle. My castle. Yes. We have a castle. Okay, so you can see the castle from over here if you have your render distance turned up. I'm okay with that. I might add more to it later. But guys, we just built a friggin' castle. And the tracks now run under here. Not totally, but they do. It's not all done, but the tracks run under the bridge. And we are well on our way to connecting these two, and we will be starting that next time. With increased vigor. Back here, I want this height, which is 90 or so. Speaking of 90, haven't bought them yet. Probably should. Comrade. There we go. Okay. Alright, we're gonna have to fill all this in. At some point. Let's just massage the seams out a little bit. Oh, okay. Pain in the butt. Working on this, such a pain in the butt. But the results are so worth it. Okay. There we go. We will build that up more, but for now I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, so I already know what my screenshots are going to be of. Hold on. Let me do this, because we learned that this really isn't having that much of an impact on performance, at least not out here. So we'll do that. That way I can at least see the castle from the bridge and vice versa. Yeah. And the bridge from this bridge. I love it. Makes me so happy. Okay. Okay, what are we doing for the next 7 minutes? How about this? Uh-oh. Maybe I shouldn't have zoomed in. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe I should go somewhere else. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Whatever, we're doing this. Just a little more work that isn't terrain for today. Oh man, this is gonna... My computer's not liking me now. It was just forgiving me. I even played nice and I closed out a few things before I started the episode. Just to see if I could increase performance by a little bit, which we did last time. I think the blue ones should go in there. The blue and green go in this cove little area, actually. Because I'm intending to put them in more sheltered areas. Yeah, here you are. Are these actually blue? I don't know why I called them the blue ones. They're not, obviously they're not totally blue, but I just was under the impression they had blue flowers. Either way, the thicker ones, the greener ones, the more alive looking ones. No, they're not blue. They're not blue at all. I don't know where I got blue. They're so green that they're almost blue. And then we have these guys sort of protecting them, which is a common way of doing things around here. Okay, there, and 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 there. Yeah, 5 minutes of this, let's see how much we can get done. It's almost a challenge. Everything's a challenge. This whole map is challenging. It's a challenge. It makes me feel challenged. It certainly makes my computer feel challenged. It is a challenge. That's why it's a challenge. Can you run it? Although apparently Jader was taking a run in Tolbrand, so that makes me happy. He's a master of killer routes sometimes. Okay. Put this on a particularly thick area out here. Oh yeah, because we're reaching another portion where we're, yeah. We're reaching another portion where we are, everything's sort of widening, and we're gonna have a lot more land on our hands very soon. Yeah. There we go. Okay. And this is the key to doing grass right. You can see it a lot more clearly here when things don't get cluttered up as much. I'm really sort of going all over the place. No two splines are the same length or really go in the exact same direction. There are some that overlap, there are some that are very similar, and there are some that are very different. And it's really just to add texture and to add difference to your area, because grass doesn't grow in a uniform pattern, really. Nature, full of patterns, but on this sort of scale, you're not going to see necessarily patterns in the way the grass is growing. You know, maybe I'm wrong. I don't stare at grass all that much, but I get the impression that that's not how it works. And we did get sidetracked last time. We didn't get a whole lot done last time around. We did get a lot of this done, which, admittedly, it's going a lot quicker than I remembered this taking. Which I feel like that's a good thing when you know, sort of step away from something for a while, you get back to it. And all you remember is the agony. But you get back to it and it's not so bad. So, you know. So we're going to fill all this in, just along the edges, and then we're going to fill in the next set of edges with this. The thing with this is it has such a noticeable gap between one little fuzzy patch and the next, so that's a little bit of an issue that we kind of need to work on. We need to get more random with the way that we're placing stuff. But for the most part, this area is doubtful to be heavily scrutinized. It's just a nice looking swamp. And by nice, I mean not nice, because it's a swamp. Who made Shrek? DreamWorks? Yeah, DreamWorks. You know what I should have built? Oh, I know what I'm gonna name out here somewhere. Like Donkey Island. Somewhere. Or maybe I'll just name the swamp that. It doesn't have an official name. I've just been calling it the Great Swamp. The Donkey Swamp. D-U-N-K-E-H. Donkey! And then the swamp does not end there. It ends, like, all the way over here. So, we have a lot of swamp to deal with before we get much of anywhere. But we did do, like, all of this in one episode. One half-hearted episode. But would you look at that? We're most of the way to Mason's Landing. Or Mason Valley. Well, either or. But, anyway. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Train Man out.